Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to your online lecture series of EE222 microprocessor systems. I am Maimun Sajid and this is lecture 27, your third lecture of week 9. In this lecture we will be covering the configuration bits and clock options for PIC18. Thus far we have covered all these course contents that have been highlighted in green, and we are currently under progress with the portion highlighted in blue, that is input-output ports programming and arithmetic logic functions in PIC18 microcontroller. We are yet to cover PIC18 internal peripherals programming using embedded C and the interfacing of external peripheral devices using embedded C language. So in this lecture we will be targeting the CLO3 of your course contents, and that CLO states that the students will be able to use the instruction set of PIC18 and apply techniques used in assembly language programming. Today we are going to learn about multiple functions associated with one pin of a PIC microcontroller, how to choose between them, what are those functions, what are configuration registers, and how to configure the microcontroller before writing the first program or before burning it to the microcontroller. So let's start with the pin diagram of the 40-pin DIP package of PIC18F4550. As we can see here that each pin has a label and each label has multiple fields separated by this slash. So first off, if we see that the first label in every pin corresponds to the port bit RB5, 6, 7, RD, RC, RA. So all of these pins are associated to one of the ports, port A to E in PIC microcontroller. But there are some other functions also mentioned in the pin diagram. For example, if we look at pin number 34, that is RB1. So one function of this pin is to be associated with port B, pin 1, that can be used as a digital input-output port. The other function that is written in front is AN10. Now AN stands for analog. So all the functions associated with these pins with the prefix AN correspond to the analog channels. AN12 means analog channel number 12. PIC18F4550 has a built-in analog to digital converter ADC, and it has 12 or 14 channels, and these pins can be used as digital input output or they can be used as analog input. Then we have INT1, INT0. INT prefix stands for interrupt, so this pin can also be used to read external interrupt from any of the pins. Then we have SCK, SCL. These are associated with SPI and I2C data communication protocols. So there are many functions associated with a single pin because we cannot afford to have a microcontroller with infinite number of pins. For example, if we count all these functions, they can be more than 100, but there are only 40 pins in this IC package. So to have a dedicated pin for each function is not feasible practically, and in certain applications we usually need one of these functions. Not all of them will be used all together at once in a single application. So we can choose what our application requirements are, and accordingly we can multiplex this pin with the specific function. For example, if I draw a simple block diagram, it can be visualized like this. So this is one block, second block, and third block. These are the three functions associated with a single pin. There is a multiplexer, and this is the actual port pin. So if I connect these to the multiplexer, the first one can be port, the second one can be for communication, and the third one can be for the ADC, and this is the actual pin. So a single pin is multiplexed with many different modules inside the microcontroller, and we can select between those modules using these select pins of the multiplexer. So these select pins are actually inside some configuration register. There are many configuration registers in PIC microcontroller, and their main task is to select the functions of a specific pin or a specific peripheral. They can be used as control to select the function, and they can have some bits that are status bits to tell the status of a certain peripheral or a certain pin. We'll discuss those peripherals in detail one by one, like timers, ADCs, CCP, etc. But for now, we can just consider the pin association, and we can consider many multiple modules inside the controller that are multiplexed with a single pin. So this configuration register, this is an SFR, a special function register. SFRs are not general purpose registers, and they have their bits associated to a specific function. So this S0 and S2, they can be bit number 7 and bit number 6 of this particular configuration register. So let's move on to table 1.3 in your data sheet that has listed the functions, all the functions associated with each pin of PIC18F4550 microcontroller. So pin 1 has a label of MCLR/VPP/RE3 here. MCLR means master clear or master reset. So if we assign this pin as a master clear pin, it will not act as RE3 port E3 pin, but its function will be to act as a hard reset pin of the microcontroller. This pin can also be used to provide the programming voltage input, and this pin can also be used as a digital input of port E. Then pin number 13, OSC1 CLK1, that is associated with the oscillator. Every embedded system, every microcontroller or every basic computer needs a clock to run. Now that clock has to come from a source, from some oscillator, from some timer. 555 timer IC is one of the best scale wave generators that we know, that is most common. That clock can be provided using a single pin on this particular pin of the microcontroller, and that would be considered as the main clock of microcontroller. Secondly, what we can do is, we don't have to necessarily use an external waveform generator. PIC microcontrollers, in fact any microcontroller, has a built-in circuitry where we can connect a 2-pin crystal oscillator that will produce the master clock for that IC. So if we use an external waveform generator, scale wave generator, we will need only 1 pin. But if we use the crystal oscillator, we will use 2 pins, and the second pin will be OSC2 pin number 14. Pin number 14 is also associated with port A6. So we can select whether we are using an external crystal oscillator or we are using an external waveform generator. In case of a waveform generator, we need only 1 pin. So there is no option to associate this pin with a digital input output port. But this is the bare minimum. The second pin is optional and is only needed in case we are using a high-speed crystal oscillator. So we are given an option to use this pin as crystal oscillator pin or If we are not using a crystal oscillator, associate this pin with port A6 and use it as a digital input output. Moving on, RA0 has only two labels, that is RA0 and AN0. So RA0 is port A digital input output. It can be used as a digital input or a digital output. But it can also be multiplexed with the ADC peripheral built in the PIC18F4550 microcontroller. So we can either use this pin as a digital input output, or we can use it as an analog input of the ADC. Same goes for RA1 and RA2. There are some other labels in RA2 like Vref minus, CVref, and those are related to the reference voltage of the ADC. For now, I will not go into the details of each and every function of each and every pin, but this was just to give you an idea that how a single pin can be used in multiple ways and multiple functions can be associated with a single pin of a microcontroller. That is to save space, to simplify the hardware, and to keep the pin count lesser. Now moving on to the oscillator configurations that we partially discussed in our previous lecture, but did not go into the details of what options do we have for PIC18F4550. In this lecture we are going to discuss them in detail. So this highlighted portion shows the 12 possible oscillator configurations that we can use for PIC18F4550 microcontroller. The first option is XT, that stands for crystal or resonator. So if we select the XT option, we have to connect a 2-pin crystal or a resonator with the external 2 pins, pin number 13 and 14 of the microcontroller to provide it the master clock. Then we have XT-PLL. We can use the same external crystal oscillator to provide the master clock, but in this scenario, in scenario number 2, we can link it with an internal PLL peripheral of the microcontroller. PLL stands for phase lock loop, and phase lock loop is used to multiply or divide the input frequency of any waveform. So for instance, if we have a 1 MHz external oscillator that is connected to the 2 pins of microcontroller, we can use PLL, we can pass that signal of the external oscillator through PLL and multiply it by 2 to make it a 2 MHz oscillator and use it as our main clock source. Then we have HS and HSPLL. It is very similar to XT and XTPLL, but HS stands for high speed. What is considered as high speed, particularly in PIC18 microcontroller family? 4 MHz. So if your crystal or resonator is less than 4 MHz, you will select XT in the configuration, and if your crystal or resonator is 4 MHz or more, you will select HS or HSPLL. Now we have EC and ECIO. EC is external clock. We know that clock is produced on a single pin, a square wave produced on a single pin. We don't need a crystal or resonator, but we have some external circuitry from where the master clock is coming on a single pin. So the second pin is free, and on that second pin an F oscillator divided by 4 is produced as an output. This can be used for synchronization. We will discuss that later. Then we have ECIO. So in this case, a waveform is not produced on the second pin, but that free pin is associated with port A6 and can be used as a regular digital input output. Then we have ECPLL. So we use the external clock on a single pin and then multiply it with PLL to get another frequency. Then ECPIO, Same case but with RA6 as the digital input output. So the first 8 are very simple. The next 4 are also simple, but in the first 8 we are using some external clock or an external crystal as the source of our master clock. In the next 4 we will be using an internal oscillator already embedded inside the microcontroller as our master clock source. All of them have INT prefix with them. INT means internal in this case, and INT means interrupt in all other cases associated with this microcontroller. So INTHS means that an internal oscillator is being used, and also the HS oscillator will be used as a USB clock source. So right now we are not going to use USB, so we will not be bothered about which clock source will be used by USB. USB generally requires a clock near 70 MHz. So internal oscillator cannot produce a waveform of 70 MHz. That's why we can use the internal oscillator just to run the CPU, and an external oscillator, the high speed oscillator, just associated with the USB peripheral. Then we have INTXT. Again, it will use the internal oscillator, but an XT oscillator will be used as a USB clock source. Then we have INTIO. So internal oscillator will be used as a microcontroller clock source, but an external clock will be used for USB. And on the free pin, a digital input output will be associated with RS6. And then we have finally INTCKO. So internal oscillator will be used as the microcontroller clock source, EC oscillator will be used as the USB clock source, and an output will be generated, an F oscillator by 4 will be generated on the second free pin associated with the oscillator, that is RS6, and that RS6 will not be used as port A's digital input output, but will be used to produce a divided clock on that pin that can be used for synchronization. So which option amongst these 12 we will be using in our basic programming? So first off, if we completely ignore the USB part, which clock has to be used for USB, we can use any of 9, 10, 11 or 12 as internal oscillator, and we can have a digital input output on RS6. That is one option. Then among the other 8, we will not be using XT or EC. We will not be using low speed crystal oscillators less than 4 MHz, or we will not be using some external clock source as the master clock source of our microcontroller. So we are left with only option number 3 and option number 4. I will suggest you to use HSPLL, because in that case, if you disable PLL, it will act simply as a high-speed crystal oscillator, and if you enable PLL, you will have an option to switch to a higher clock frequency if required. This was all about the clock source. Let's go to the clock diagram of PIC18 microcontroller. So here we have an internal oscillator block, we have an 8 MHz source, internal source of internal oscillator that can be used as the master clock for the IC. This 8 MHz source can be divided further using a divider already present inside the microcontroller, and it can be divided into 4 MHz, 2 MHz, 1 MHz up to 31 kHz. So even if we are using an internal oscillator as the master clock source of the PIC microcontroller, we are not stuck with just one option. We have multiple options to use the 8 MHz source as it is, or divide it to lower our clock speed. Why would we want to lower our clock speed is the question here. It seems like we always want our microcontroller to have the highest possible operating frequency. But higher frequency means higher power consumption. So if our application is not time critical, then we can shift to lower frequencies and save the power. Secondly, for certain applications, using an 8 MHz frequency will not be suitable for synchronization, so we can switch to its lower multiples and we can easily synchronize with other devices. Right now, for our basic applications, we will be using 8 MHz crystal as an internal oscillator, or we will be using the oscillator 1 and oscillator 2 pins with a crystal resonator or crystal oscillator connected outside the microcontroller as our primary clock source. For internal oscillator, the default setting is at 4 MHz. For Picatinny F4550, if you don't change anything, the internal oscillator will be by default set to 4 MHz. How can we shift it to 8 MHz is by using the multiplexer pins, these 3 pins. Where are these 3 pins located? In the SFR configuration register that is named as OSC-CON, oscillator configuration, and these pins are pin number 4, 5 and 6 inside that OSCON register. So if we want to use the internal oscillator and we want to shift or switch it to 8 MHz, we'll have to set the OSCON pins 4, 5 and 6 all to 1 to get it 8 MHz. Otherwise their default value is 110, that is pointing to 4 MHz. Then coming to the second option, the external crystal oscillator that I said that we will be using in our basic programming. The crystal oscillator is a small crystal that is shown in this figure 2.2 connected to OSC1 and OSC2 pins of this microcontroller. So these crystals have a fixed and very accurate frequency that they can generate, but we will have to couple them with 2 capacitors to complete the circuit to get the resonance. Capacitor values then be found using table 2.2. So in case you are building your own circuit or you are making your own PCB and you want to use an external oscillator, crystal oscillator, you cannot randomly select these capacitors. You have to choose values mentioned in this data sheet or values near to these values mentioned in this data sheet. Otherwise the waveforms will be distorted and the charging discharging cycles will be distorted. Here in figure 2.3 we can see that if we are using external clock, only one pin is being used. The second pin is free. So that second pin can be used as a digital input output, or that second pin can be used to get an output of this frequency divided by 4. That is usually used for synchronization and some communication application. Okay, so here is your OSCON register, OSC-CON, that we talked about earlier, that can be used to switch between different frequencies if we are using internal oscillator as our primary clock source. These are the bits 4, 5 and 6 of this OSCON register. In this OSCON register there are many other bits as well. So let's take a look at what the other pins are assigned to. The bit number 7, IDLEN, is the idle enable bit. So if this bit is 1, the sleep instruction will put the microcontroller into idle mode, but if this bit is 0, the sleep instruction will put the microcontroller into sleep mode. What is the difference between idle mode and sleep mode? In sleep mode, everything shuts down. The CPU, the peripherals, everything shuts down. Only the microcontroller can wake up from sleep through some reset or using some interrupt. But in idle mode, only the CPU stops working while the peripherals keep working. Idle mode is ideal in case your CPU has to wait for something. We will discuss it in detail when we will study timers. IRCF 0 to 2 are 3 bits, so we can have 8 different combinations using these 3 bits, and those 8 different combinations can be used to select between 8 different frequencies that can be used as the master clock frequency to drive this microcontroller. Then we have OSTS, oscillator startup timeout status bit. This is not a control bit, this is a status bit. We don't change the value of status bits. The status bits value change because of some already happening phenomena inside the microcontroller, and we can read these status pins to get information about that phenomena. This particular status bit tells us if our clock source is not ready in time. Then we have IOFS, internal oscillator frequency stable bit, and then finally the 2 bits SCSC1 and SCSC0, the system clock select bits, are used to select between internal oscillator, timer oscillator or primary oscillator as the system clock. Now you should not confuse the system clock with the primary oscillator source or primary clock of microcontroller. The system clock is actual clock that tells us the time. So PK-T in microcontroller have a built-in calendar peripheral also, and that calendar peripheral has to be fed with a clock input to operate. So we will be changing the bits IRCF0 to IRCF2 and make them 111 to change our internal oscillator frequency to 8 MHz. Let's see once again the available option of configuration bits we have in MPLAB X IDE. PLL, phase lock loop, is used to multiply our clock by a certain number. This works in a reverse manner. For example, if I choose this option, divide by 12, our clock will not be divided by 12. Whatever the clock source is, it will act as it is. And for example, if we have a 4 MHz crystal oscillator, 4 MHz will be the primary oscillator's frequency for our microcontroller. But if we use no prescaler, then it will be multiplied by 12. So 48 MHz will be our primary clock frequency. I will demonstrate it in a bit after burning it on the development board. The PLL multiplication only works if the source, the primary oscillator source, is an external oscillator. It will not work on the internal oscillator. So if we select internal oscillator as our primary source, then the PLL will not work. We can get a maximum of 8 MHz from our internal oscillator. But if we choose a high-speed oscillator that is PLL enabled as our primary oscillator source and enable the PLL, no prescaler is used, generate the configuration bits, copy them and paste them in our program, what we have done is that we have multiplied our clock source by 12. I can demonstrate it by burning it onto the development board. Okay, so when we focus on the board, you see that the LEDs remain always on, but it cannot be captured with the camera. I can see that they are blinking so fast that the camera frame rate cannot capture it. Let me change this value to let's say 5, and you will see that they will be slowed down 5 times. They are pretty fast, but the camera can capture them right now. Let's use 12 instead of 5. So now 4 megahertz will be the crystal frequency. Now if you notice that this delay right now is less than 1 second, and if we see our delay routine here, we have used a loop of 250 into 250 into 2. If we use a loop of 250 into 250 into 3, that will roughly give us a delay of 1 second. Right now the crystal we have on this board here, right here, that is 4 megahertz. So now this is operating at 4 megahertz, and the delay that we calculated for 1 second was 250 into 250 into 3 approximately, and the program is behaving exactly how we wanted it to be. And note that we have used a PLL division of 12. So that's the advantage of using PLL, that even if we don't have a very high speed crystal, we can use the built-in PLL module and get our microcontroller to operate at a higher frequency. The summary of today's lecture is, so I hope that after today's lecture you will be able to see what kind of configuration options do we have and how to use the basic ones amongst them and make programs for PKTNF 4550. We are not using all the configuration bits available to us, all the options available to us at the moment, because right now we are at the start of using this IC. Once we will start using the peripherals and we will start building complex applications for this controller, then we will be exploring the related options one by one. One last thing that I should tell you here is that you cannot use the internal oscillator to simulate your code on Proteus, because as I told earlier, and you can see here, we already have a processor clock frequency option here. Proteus tries to overwrite the configuration file, and if you have selected internal oscillator or even if you are using PLL, Proteus will not consider it and your program will not be simulated here in Proteus. So I will suggest you guys that do not use PLL and do not use internal oscillator when you are trying to simulate your code on Proteus. The best option, the oscillator configuration that you can use for simulation in Proteus is HS oscillator with PLL disabled. I hope that after today's lecture many things would be clear and you will be able to make basic programs in PIC microcontroller in assembly language, and you will get a basic idea of what the configuration registers are, what do these special function registers do. They can control certain operations, they can control the assignment of different functions to different pins, and at the same time some bits in those special function registers, the configuration registers, can give you the status of certain modules. For now, your assignment for the next lecture is try to make a counter that will count up from 0 to 100 with a delay of 1 second between each count, and then after reaching 100 count down from 100 to 0, and you should display this count in binary on port B. After counting back from 100 to 0, display 10101010 or AA hexadecimal on port B, and then your program should stop at that point. let me tell you that when you write end, your program ends, but it will start again from originate, and it will keep executing the same program, the complete program, in an infinite loop. So after, even if you write end, the program will not stop executing, it will not halt the processor, and you will keep seeing the display changing on your port B. So what you can do to halt your program, the most crude way is to make a jump statement that will keep jumping on the same line. An infinite loop that will keep jumping on the same position. So the processor will be busy, but your program will stop at the certain location. So that's it for your lecture today. If you have any questions, you can send them to me via Microsoft Teams chat, and I'll be more than happy to address them and answer them via chat, and if required, I'll address them in our next lecture. Till then, stay safe. Allah Hafiz.